What's up, guys? My name is Ace from Project Sin, and you're currently Project. Well, God. Ugh, let that stand for a minute. Let's just get started with the video, shall we? So, if you're like me, you like skateboards or, say, longboards, but what if skateboards over longboards? Or longboard over skateboards? Or if you're like me, you like maybe the longboard over the skateboard type. I'll tell you why. When I was just a young child, I always wanted a skateboard, and I felt like it was the most popular thing around, and it was booming up everything, and people loved to skateboard. Not everybody, but most of everybody. And I was kind of type to try it out, so I had my brother teach me a bit of skateboarding, um, and super simple tricks, and it kind of ended for me there after about a couple years ago. You see, for skateboarding, it has lasted me a very long time of, entertainment because, when there was nothing to do indoors, there was plenty to do outdoors. Like sometimes your parents might say, when you have nothing to do inside, don't waste electricity, just, step outside. This is a big barrier that you can just break through and, this whole bunch of things. There's like millions of things you could do out there besides sitting inside all day and getting lazy and doing all that. And this was the thing for me. It was skateboarding, and it really brought me out until I moved. As soon as I moved, the streets, they were different. You weren't allowed to skateboard at specific places. You couldn't go here, you couldn't go there, you couldn't go really anywhere at all unless you had actual transportation. And over there, they didn't really call it transportation. They call it more like, hey, if you're walking on the side of the road after you're tired up with that board, chances are you can get hit by a car. And that's why there's not much skating over there where I used to live. Virginia, by the way, yeah. And then about a couple extra years later, I ended up moving back over here to New York and getting back to skateboarding, which was pretty awesome. And I was starting to notice something I didn't tell you guys was I overcame a surgery. And after I went through surgery, I've been having problems with getting physical. No, don't say it. Don't say it. Nope. But it has been a big thought of whether I'd go back to skating or move on to some type of other physical activity, transportation, whatever you guys call it. And I felt like it was about time I moved to something else more easier, something that's not too small, or like something that felt a little smoother and didn't feel too harsh to my body. No bad things. This is where Fat Albert stepped in the ring. Standing at 42, weighing not much. I don't know how much it weighs. It's kind of heavy, kind of not. But this was very reliable. A longboard helped me really get around. It wasn't as harsh as I necessarily call it on skateboard. I'm not saying skateboarding is harsh. I'm just saying like the conditions in which sometimes you want to do a trick or whatever. You worry about getting it right. For this drop through deck, I didn't really have much problems or trying to do tricks at all. I really wanted to do tricks on it, noticing that I couldn't really do much with it. So I started riding it more often, and I kind of switched between now longboarding and skateboarding, or biking or rollerblading. I do a lot of physical activity. I've been trying to work out ever since my surgery. Not too much, but something that doesn't rely so much on so little. And that's where I kind of looked at longboards. They're kind of not as easy to handle as skateboards. What am I saying? But they did help me change my mind on wanting to do tricks or whatever. and I kind of find it easier to transport yourself on a longboard than it is to a skateboard. And I know what you guys might be saying right now, like, hey, he doesn't know much about skateboarding or whatever. And trust me, I honestly don't know much about that much of skateboarding, but I know enough to say that skateboarding is not as easy to get transportation as for longboarding. See, for longboarding, they got these big wheels and they can run over cracks and it's smooth and everything. It's a lower risk. But what if I told you I always wanted at this point to switch over skateboards over longboards? Now it has came to a decision whether to choose skateboarding or longboarding or skateboarding, and it was kind of in between. It was like choosing a favorite sister over a favorite brother or a favorite brother over a favorite sister, and it was pretty hard because I didn't want to, spoil myself on one thing, then blame it on that, and not ever do it again. Because that actually did happen at one point, and that happened with longboarding. A big disadvantage with longboarding. For me, I'm skinny and fragile. Of course, look at this, skinny and fragile. And when it came to me longboarding, I kind of found it easier. I know. Make up your mind, right? Yeah. Truth is, no matter what transportation you use, get used to it. Because if you have nothing else to use for transportation, then you're gonna have to find a hard way to use transportation. Like, for me, I'm kind of sticking with the longboard because it brings me farther distances. Um, and I learned how to brake on it very easy. For skateboarding, it's mostly used for short distances, probably to the skate park, or maybe not only skate park, but like to farther places sometimes, depending if you're really into getting that far with a skateboard, or you can use it for tricks. Tricks, pretty fun. That's what I wanted to learn, but truth is, I'm kind of in between. There's many things you could do with both a longboard and a skateboard. And just gotta say, if Project Sin approves on a longboard, he approves on a longboard. Project Sin approves on a skateboard, he approves on a skateboard. But to me, um, tricks, they're alright. Longboarding, it don't have much tricks to do, but it's very good for cruising around if you're those type of people who love, enjoying everything on your way, and not worrying about any big ass rocks or cracks. Don't step on a crack, you break your mother's back. This is Ace from Project Sin, signing out.